Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Cornell Nichols,
I'm Eugene Fields.
and we are using this platform as a way to just communicate with you all, as a way for you all to hear more from us. And if you have any questions or comments, you can always leave a comment on the video, and it's just to start some dialogue. And pretty much, today we're going to just talk about transparency.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest topics that we can talk about with church and ministry today is transparency in ministry and how important that is from membership and from leadership, and or lack thereof, how sometimes that could be a turn away from non-believers. So with topics like this and other topics, we just kind of want to have a conversation.
And if you all have any topics that you want us to discuss, send them to us. So y'all know how to use Facebook. Just send a message or tag me in it, and we'll see it, and we can have a discussion about it. So.
How did you get involved in church ministry and stuff like that?
Well, I grew up. For those who know, I grew up in church. My great grandmother pretty much set the path. I was on the usher, and did Bible study, choir, and pretty much I just grew up in church. So church has always been instilled in me. And when I went off to college, I made sure to still maintain a certain level of faith, to make sure I was grounded in what I grew up in. So.
That's cool. Yeah, I know. I remember, being a young adult in the church and watching you and your little brother grow up on the usher board and everything like that. I think everybody knew who my parents were, if you went to the church we grew up in. So, we were what you call kind of like 24 hours, 7 days a week. It almost seemed like we was at church all the time. Like Bible class, we was in all the choirs. We was in the usher board, camera crew, whatever the case may be.
It was important. Participation in church is very important.
Yeah. And I think as I got older and went to school, it kind of gave me something to hold on to, and then life happened. And so it kind of goes back to, what we were talking about, our topic today, transparency. But one thing that I try to do now when I talk to young people or anybody is try to be as honest and open with them as possible.
The youth are really, that's the biggest, so that's what social media did. It made people, like, you fell in love with celebrities before social media, but then you fell in love with people even more when you saw how transparent they were on their social media. So now kids are really thriving on that thirst of transparency. They want to see authenticity and transparency.
Oh yeah, and we're definitely at a time where, I feel like we are challenging, the younger generation almost to challenge all institutions. I mean, from education, political system, so we would be naive as, churchgoers to believe or to think that it wouldn't happen to us as well, So when people come looking for something, they need something that they can relate to, and I think, from growing up in church, I grew up in a time where, we kind of participated more in the traditions, the rituals of denominations and things like that. And a lot of the things about the church were almost secretive, to where the leaders, you looked at them like they were almost perfect people. Like, they didn't make mistakes.
Yeah, you put them on a pedestal.
And sometimes it's hard to kind of relate to someone who you feel like doesn't go through the same things that you go through. And that's why I feel like, especially now, is a perfect time for us to have this type of conversation. And it goes beyond just saying, like, I've been where you've been, or I've done what you've done.
You want to get the nitty gritty, like what exactly?
Like, what are those things that you struggle with, that you feel like I struggle with? And and I think that's part of the power of our testimony, and when you say, this is what God has done for me.
So yeah, whenever you give your testimony and where God brought you from, yeah. And I know, is there a reason like people used to do like testimony sections that people got too real?
Yeah,
people got real. People got real.
They had to shut that down.
So you can tell me like after, you don't gotta stay in front of everybody because somebody judging you in the congregation. Yeah.
So where do you think? How important do you think, or where do you think the line is? It needs to be as far as like with leadership in church.
I feel like personally, because I mean, I'm on social media, but I think it should still be something private to yourself, some type of something personal to you. But as far as transparency, you know, it's enough for them to get, so they can know that, okay, I know that they were in my shoes before. Mm-hmm. But you don't got to get all to the nitty gritty. Like if you're like been divorced and you see somebody struggling with divorce, like, hey, I've been divorced before, but you don't got to go to like all the specific detail. Hey, I struggled with that, mm-hmm. and I can help you get through that. But you still hold some back to, you can't tell all your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's the thing. Sometimes, and it's a thin line between, hey, is it too much? Like, I don't want to know everything. Just you can tell me a little bit, but when you throw all that stuff on me, I'm like, okay, you did what now? That was, whoa. All right.
It's hard to be. I mean, it's a dual action transaction. Being transparent allows you to open up and be vulnerable. One, but to your same point, it's like you're leaving yourself open as well, for judgment. But and that's all with being in the right mindset, right? Mm-hmm. So as believers and as Christians, the Bible tells us that we are to bear each other's burdens. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's no way that you can help me bear my burdens if you don't know what my burdens are. Yep. And a part of that is us being able to be open and honest with each other about what some of our downfalls are. That fall from grace, kind of can show that curve of what God can do.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a shift in your mindset and on how you feel, because a lot of people don't want to become vulnerable. I don't want people. I tell people I'm not perfect. Mm-hmm. We all, going through something, and we all are struggling with something, but it's all about progression. Like, I'm gonna progress. I'm not perfect, and I'm obedient. Mm-hmm. But we're human. We're all gonna make some type of mistakes and all go through some type of trial and tribulation. But the key is learning from that, and as you're learning from it, teach it or reveal it to somebody else that's struggling with it, so you can help them.
Mm-hmm. So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What about with children? Like, you're a parent. Mm-hmm. What about transparency with your children? How important do you think that is?
Yeah, I think it's definitely.
Cause my parents were like old school. I ain't know nothing about what they was doing. I still don't know today. I still don't know.
I think it's like I say, it's a limit. Like, I don't want to, like, I forgot, somebody had my Dave Chappelle, probably my favorite comedian. Like, he had a joke when he talked about, like, you can't put it all on kid, like telling your kid, hey, we struggling on rent, we may get kicked out. Like, you should hold some back, but hey, if you have a kid and they're struggling with, like, say, with making friends or fitting in, and you see that they're becoming a different person because they want to fit in with a group of people, and you struggle with that, like, hey, I struggle with the same thing, it's not going to end well in the long run, because you're not going to know who you are, you're not learning how to love yourself. So it's like a teaching moment. So instead of like beating them down and judging, it's like, teach them on how to deal with what they're struggling with.
Mm-hmm. I think that's very powerful, because I was one of those kids who had a hard time being comfortable with myself. I found myself playing to different crowds, so I'm with the church people, I'm over here doing this, I'm with my friends at school, I'm over here doing this, and there came a time in my life, when I moved to Kansas City, where I was by myself, and when it's a very weird place to be in when you can't enjoy your own time. You got downtime, it's just you, but you don't know what you want to do to entertain yourself.
I like it. When you can't enjoy, you don't know how it feels to just enjoy being by yourself.
And a lot of that was because I felt like I couldn't be who I was, you know what I mean, because of different pressures or whatever. So it's interesting when we talk about transparency, like, you know, I have a daughter and a son, so as I get older and as they get older, I know they're going to want to know things, you know, so it's important, like, okay, I'm talking transparency, but at the same time, where do I draw that line, you know, as far as like, okay, I'm going to give you a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you just a little, enough for you to, okay, he know what I'm talking about, but not like, yo, whoa, daddy, calm down now. I didn't need to know all that. I'm just letting you know this is what happened.
And then everybody else you've been transparent with, telling all your business.
So I definitely believe as part of the role of being a parent, you have to be transparent in a way to use as a teaching moment. You know, that's what it is. That's what, to me, I always say, you know, being a parent is a lifetime job, but you really getting them groomed so when they leave the nest, when they leave the nest, they're able to, you know, recall your teachings and, you know, and whenever they're going through something.
And I think being transparent also takes off some of the boundaries and limits. And what I mean by that is, when you study God's word and when you get more involved, you find out about the people that God used. And a lot of times, like, you know, when you find out Peter cussed and, you know, he stabbed somebody, like, you know, different things like that. David, you know, and some of his sins and things that he overcame, like, you see that it's, like, you're not in a category by yourself. You know what I mean?
Everybody struggle with something.
We have a lot more similarities that we struggle with, you know, than we give each other credit for. And a lot of times it's just because we keep it to ourselves, you know. But then, like, how can you get the proper help that you need, you know, if you're not open, you know, with some of your mistakes?
Like, I've been to therapy before, and it amazes me how people will go to therapy and not be open with the therapist. Like, how do you expect for them to help you if you don't let them in? So that's what it's all about. It's all about you letting somebody in. And a lot of reasons people don't want to let somebody, it's been abused before. You trusted that person with your true self. You poured your heart out. They know you inside out, and yet they still abused you, yet they still treated you wrong, yet they still took advantage of you. So I can see why it's hard. You know?
And I think for us, you know, that's one of the beauties about our message as believers, is that God will take you and accept you as you are. You know, all you have to do is, you know, make the acknowledgement and to accept Him in your life. But He says, I stand at the door of your heart knocking, you know, and He's going to accept you as what you are at that point, you know. Whereas, you know, a lot of people in the world won't, you know,
because you're going to get judged. And let's be honest, a lot of people don't want to be transparent in church because of the judgment.
Don't throw no rocks in my glass house.
You know, people judge. I catch myself judging from time. Like, we're just talking about, like, I judge people on 600-pound life. I judge people on hoarders. It's just naturally, it's like, yo, how can they let this happen? But you don't really know what they're going through. I mean, they explain it on the show, but, you know, still, they struggling with something. But I find it entertaining from time to time. It's going. I don't know. It takes a lot of discipline and a lot of trust to be transparent with a group, with anybody that you feel close enough to allow, you know, embrace them in. I wouldn't be transparent to everybody, but I'll be transparent with ones I feel intimate with, ones that deserve. Like, everybody don't deserve your transparency. Like, if it's somebody that you're feel like you called to help in life, called to help them grow, called to help lead and guide them, like, you know, we're called to do in a church. If we see somebody struggling with something, help them in a way to help them is to be transparent with them, so they can know that you're in this with them. If hey, you struggling with drinking, hey, I used to drink, so this is what I did to help get me through. Let's get you through. And you probably, that could be your first time ever admitting to a church member that you used to drink like that, but you saw that, hey, they were able to embrace you in and allow you to help them because you admitted something. You was transparent with them.
It's almost like sometimes we feel like we use our spirituality almost like we're used car salesmen. Like, I want you to buy this car. It's great. It's gonna be reliable. It's gonna last. But a lot of times that reputation is, okay, if I drive this car off this lot, how do I know it's not gonna break down 5 or 10 minutes from now? And I think for us as believers, it's the difference for us between selling a dream and selling something real. It's like, we're not selling this mirage. I'm selling you what I know for a fact this has done for me, changing this lifestyle or being able to overcome some of the things, my vices, is strictly because I've decided to make a conscious decision, to follow God's command, but being transparent definitely makes a non-believer more relatable, as far as the journey is concerned. It's more, like I said, it's not like, selling a dream. It's something that's real, that you can hold on to, a living testimony.
And that's important. I would tell people, whenever you research somebody that you find successful in your idea of success, look and see, don't look at the end result. I'll look through the process. Like, I want to see what they struggled with, because a lot of, especially if they're author, they write books, they're going to be transparent on books. I want to read every single detail on what they struggle with, the mistakes they made, because it's going to help me, like, okay, I'm going through the same thing, and yet they got to that outcome. How can I get to the same outcome they got to? And so it really takes, work on our part, work on being transparent, and also work on them believing. Like, we have to be honest, and like, don't be transparent like a lie, but be honest with your transparency as a way, like, hey, I want to help you get to where you have a goal in mind, you have an end result that you want to get, or you have an addiction you want to overcome. I'm going to help you because I did the same thing. And so now it's up to that person to put their trust in you, which and you're putting it's like a transaction with the trust. I trust you, you trust me, and let's go from there. You're gaining that person's trust. So.
Yeah, but I think this is a great topic because I think it's definitely needed, and it's a way for us to continue to grow the church, and to grow the temple, by getting new believers in, as we usher in people and invite people, we have to understand that a lot of times, just like when Jesus came to us, we have to go where they are, and go where they are and be in the midst, and the healing starts there.
Man, I love that, because even hanging around with a lot of church people just here in Kansas City, like a lot of the comics that just perform strictly in churches, I always tell them, like, yo, how come y'all don't hit up the shows at the bars? And that's one thing, like, not trying to, but a lot of comics that's not even Christians, or comics that's not even that's atheist, agnostic, all that stuff, I was like received well in their eyes because I was in their world. I'm there with them, kicking it. I'm not forcing my faith on them. I'm just being a transparent dude, just having fun with them. We cracking jokes, but that was able to, like, yo, I like Nick. I like what he's like. He's here with us. He ain't trying to force us and judge us and stuff. No, y'all want to smoke your weed? Look, just smoke it. I ain't gonna smoke it, but we could crack jokes. I could laugh at y'all and the stuff y'all coming up with. But that's just me being, just them being transparent with me. I'm just being transparent with them. And I told the people, I'm not gonna sit here. Yeah, I'm a Christian, but I'm not gonna sit here and just be around Christians all day long and churchgoers all day long. No, I hang out with everybody.
Yeah. That's that's where we should be. You know, I feel like, you know, a lot of times we've just kind of limited ourselves to our own little fraternity, you know, which is the church group, you know, and but we can't grow that way. You know, the only way we grow is outreach, and the way we get out there, and the only message that the world is going to accept is a real message. You know, so we gotta be real.
They can tell
because they know what's going on, and you come in your suit and tie talking that stuff, like my dad would say, shucking and jiving. Like, you know, so, but one, we got to be courageous within ourselves, you know, and it takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of conviction, you know, on both sides, to just be ready to open yourself up to take that persecution, but knowing that, you know, just like they persecuted Jesus, it's part of the deal. You know, it's part of the deal. You're gonna have to suffer some, but the greater good is how many people can you reach or can you touch by your story. You know, and you can't reach anybody without, in my opinion, being transparent with them and being honest with them.
And you can't grow an organization without being transparent, because that's what the new wave is looking for. That's what millennials, then generation after us, then the generation after them. Times have changed. Transparency is like the new marketing. You look at all the successful Instagrammers, all success, they're transparent, sometimes way too transparent. But that's what's needed to get the attention of the younger generation and to get their trust in you. So we really, you got anything else to say?
No, man. Thanks for the time. Thanks for tuning in. And like I said, if you guys have any topics or anything that you want to talk about, just let us know. I look forward to doing this again.
Yeah, y'all take care. And